I'm a Sidebar member. I'm the head of product and growth at Codingscape. I joined Sidebar not quite a year ago, and I'm on my second circle, and it's going great. And Emma and Jimmy, they're my colleagues. Emma, welcome Emma. She is the director of strategic growth at Codingscape, and Jimmy is our CTO and one of our partners. And so I'm going to hand it over to them. And I think, Emma, you're going to start first and walk us through the agenda. And just know 10 minutes before close, I will throw up a link to some survey. Your feedback's super important to make sure this community keeps going the direction that Sidebar really wants and aligns with their vision. So if you guys can make sure to take the time to do that, that would be awesome. Okay, Emma, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Can y'all hear me okay? Hi, Sidebar. What's up? Happy Tuesday. As Kim said, my name is Emma. I have a very long last name. The full kahuna is Bloksberg-Fireovid. That was before I got married. So yes, that is my full name. Most people know me as Emma BF, and I'm so excited to be here with you all. I'm curious to hear why you are here. Let's hop into the chat. Give us your why. We respect your time. We value your presence, your participation, your conversation. It's going to be a really interactive session in the chat. So why don't you start off with your why? You can see the agenda that we're getting into today. We're talking about why now for vibe coding. What is it? We're going to give you some really helpful frameworks, tools, understanding for how to apply and use vibe coding in your executive role, in your innovation role. And we're going to get to see a live demo with Jimmy, hands-on, with a Slack channel analysis tool that he vibe coded, so that we can get really clear on what are the most valuable executive use cases for you in the Sidebar community. We'll also give you some hands-on how to get started and best practices, as well as a ton of time for Q&A and next steps. Our big promise here for you is we're going to teach you and show you and talk about how to build internal tools in hours, not months, which really starts off the why we are here to talk about vibe coding. Let's hear a bit about your whys in the chat. Myra says she wants to learn more about how to get started. She has a new business idea. She would love to start prototyping. Awesome. Yes, Kim, to gain some valuable practical understanding of vibe coding, what it is. Perfect. We're going to speak to that. And Julia has a business idea she needs to start. Perfect, Anitha. Thank you so much. Naming the how can we use AI responsibly to create impact across millions of customers, not just technology. Absolutely. Y'all keep popping the why in here. Hopefully this agenda makes sure that you are in the right place. So give me a thumbs up if you are ready to get started. My invitation is to close. Myra's ready. My invitation is to close other tabs. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Please get comfortable, whatever comfort looks like for you. And if you're available to come on video, that would be awesome so we can see your lovely faces and interact. Absolutely not necessary though. Dogs, kids, plants are welcome. I'll introduce Jimmy in just a sec, but just a quick note of who we are at Codingscape. We are consultants that actually build software. If you have interacted with any of these companies, if you have bought shoes on Amazon, swiped on Tinder, voted on an issue at whitehouse.gov, played a game on Roblox, received an email from Apple Music, or flown through Las Vegas Airport, then you've interacted with Codingscape's technology. We are the OG devs out of Zappos. Are there any ex-Zappos people here in the house or fans of Zappos? Their first customer service first. How can we wow people? That is why we do what we do. And I'm really excited to share as much information as we can with you all today, as well as an invitation to connect further if desired. With that, I'm going to introduce you to Jimmy Jacobson, our Chief Technology Officer, and he is going to share with you why does vibe coding matter today. Jimmy, passing it to you.
All right. Is there another slide on this one?
Yes, here we are.
Oh, all right. Great. So vibe coding. There's a quote from a machine learning AI scientist who said that English is now the hottest programming language. And I think that's true. And that's what vibe coding really is. It's having a conversation with an LLM and producing code instead of your preferred language. And really, you can do it in any language, not just English. It's really I like to use some biology and geology terms here because the ability for LLMs to write code is a emergent property that was discovered by OpenAI initially. They didn't expect an AI to be able to code. And frankly, 20 years ago, when I was in college taking AI classes, I never thought we would have AIs that could code. I thought that was ridiculous. And I'm wrong. And uh, the behavior emerged because we've written so many blog posts over the years and documented so much code in natural language that it just became like a natural property that the LLM said, hey, like if the language says this snippet of code does this, then it must. And since then, the AI companies have really optimized on giving us more tools to create more code. I'm also a bit of a reductionist, and so I'll say that in the history of coding tools and coding improvement from like the early days of like, punch cards to keyboards and, our coding environments, we've never seen something that made less developers. It's always made more developers. And I think that AI tools is the same. It opens up more room for all of us to be developers. It's not going to take jobs. It's going to create a Cambrian explosion of apps. When life first brewed in the ocean with single cell and multi-cell organisms, like that's where we're at right now with apps, agents, AI. Like there's so much opportunity right now that I can't imagine we're going backwards. I can definitely. Oh, Emma, I just noticed your Vibe store. That's so good. Yeah, like app stores are going to get absolutely crushed by all the apps that we're going to be putting out there. And so I'm excited to talk with y'all about vibe coding here. So in essence, we talk to the AI in English or whatever language you prefer, and the AI writes the functional code. What that means for, I think, executives here um, is, or as leaders, something that in the past we may have written like a one pager, the famous Amazon write a paragraph or write a press release or write a PRD. Like now you can actually create a prototype that communicates like what you're thinking and include in that the prompt. The prompt language becomes your PRD in effect, and the output becomes an example of what you're thinking. This really takes it so that natural language is a lot cheaper to communicate in than code. And so we're able to really describe and build things a lot faster and share those with our team.
Awesome. Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah, I have the key principles here. Was that on this slide or the next slide?
The next one.
Oh, okay, then I'll let you go. Unless anybody has any questions, throw them in chat and you can interrupt me. That's not a problem.
You all know as executives, everything starts with mindset, right? How do we think about the tool? How do we interact with the tool? How do we think of ourselves interacting with the tool? So we wanted to share with you 3 core principles that will help ground you in how to think about vibe coding. Because it does not need to happen in every single use case. Your IT and InfoSec teams may like melt upon impact if you say, hey, I went and vibe coded 50 applications for our org. So instead, we want to get you grounded with some core principles, which we are calling the vibe coding mindset. Jimmy, take it away.
Oh, awesome. So this mindset really comes from something that the author Stephen Levy described in the book Hackers. It's called the hacker ethic. If you haven't read Hackers, it's a fantastic early look at humans creating software and into the world we live in right now. And the hacker ethic is defined by principles that we have in software that other industries haven't had. And I think it's one of the reasons why our field has grown so much. We share, like everything we do is built on open source software. We don't really have trade secrets. We trust the concept of growth to protect our businesses over maybe trying to lock everything down with patents. So we're open, we share, we believe, all of us believe in some fundamental level that we should have free access to computers and free access to the resources. And so when you take that hacker ethic and apply it to, software developers do it every day to their own jobs, but when we apply it to like product leadership positions, I think we can kind of come up with a couple of things that help us with vibe coding. First is you always got to be thinking about automating something, right? If you daily have a workflow that you're moving between 4 or 5 different browser tabs, think about automating it. And if there's something that you do multiple times a week, think about automating it. And with vibe coding, it's even easier now. And I'll show you an example of that in a little bit. The other is, we've been copying and pasting stuff off the internet into terminals and Windows and seeing if it works for a long time. And that has gotten even easier now. So don't be afraid to continue to copy and paste and run and see if it works. And it's mostly going to work. I think this is a true statement for me. So if anybody does not have this problem, I would pay for your Substack to read it to find out how to fix it. But yeah, imagination seems to be the limiting factor to me. Like, can you imagine not just a solution, because we don't have to imagine solutions anymore. We have to use our imagination to understand that we have a problem. Like, it's our blind spots that we're really looking at. And I think a successful executive in this case that deploys vibe coding is somebody who is able to look at something and say, oh, that could be better, or that's a problem that I wasn't able to solve before, but now I can. So I'm going to take a look at it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, we're going to double click actually into that hacker ethic for executives so we can get some crowdsourced responses from you all. As Jimmy shared, don't do something twice that you can automate once. We have a ton of time waste that exists in our day-to-day lives, right? You might be copy and pasting Slack conversations for status updates. You might be manually reviewing team sentiment. You might be creating repetitive reports from all of those different data sources, or you may be generating meeting summaries from all of these various tools. The first step, and what we're really asking you to focus on today, is what is your number one time waste right now? When you think about your daily workflow and your team's daily workflow, you could pop this into the chat. What is your number one time waste? Trust your gut. Whatever comes to mind first is perfect. Pop it into the chat. Yeah, email, coordinating people, coordination. Yeah, status updates. Perfect. Scheduling meetings across a global org. Perfect. Keep those coming, because the more that you can focus on exactly what you want to think through today, the more value you'll get directly from our session. Perfect. Okay. Moving forward with a bit of context, is we want to talk about the traditional versus the new tech adoption, how we adopt. Y'all, can I get type into the chat developer if you have hands-on development experience? You've been a developer, you manage a team of developers, engineers. Let's see who is here. Perfect. Keep it coming there. When we think about innovation and we really think about where we were before vibe coding and where we are now, what we think about is that the before lens was all about bottom-up developers. Developers would, in their spare time, work on their hobby projects. They would be coding solutions into an MVP to be able to share with their team. And they themselves were often left holding the bag to drive Office adoption, which is a really tall order for developers, for engineers, and even for engineering leadership, right? Raise your hand if that resonates with you at all. I see Kim nodding. Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, absolutely. And so now we are in a new, what we are calling the innovation fulcrum effect. Fulcrum is a physics term actually to define the exact point at which you can provide minimum effort for maximum impact. And so what we have now is a completely new paradigm for top-down meeting bottom-up innovation. Your opportunity exists right now to learn how to vibe code or have an engineer that's on your team who's right there beside you, helping you to vibe code solutions. You don't have to be the one to do it yourself. That's often what we see execs wanting is hands-on engineering support. But as we said, how can you rapid prototype an idea that you have, your team has a sense, gut feeling on will work, and being able to demonstrate and present an actual prototype? What we're already seeing and what we train and support execs on is how to accelerate org adoption of innovation by using vibe coding as a tool, as a process, as a, I was going to say 22nd century skill. I know we're not there yet, but in my head, I'm like, that's really what we're doing right now, right? Skilling up in vibe coding is going to have a direct ROI on your teams. And that's because we see it being the #1 driver right now for innovation, because we now have these new workplace and team dynamics at play. Jimmy, is there anything you want to add to that, or in the chat, is there anything that you want to speak to about that?
No, well said.
Beautiful. We also want to talk about the strategic impact, why this creates a competitive advantage. Can you put CA in the chat if you are personally responsible for leading competitive advantage at your company? Maybe you're a growth leader, maybe you're a rev leader, maybe you're a CIO, CTO, CEO. Put that into the chat. Competitive advantage is everything right now, and we have to know how to do it in a sustainable way. Would anybody like to make sure we're working in sustainable ways, not the old model of innovation where it's burn yourself to a crisp in service to what, right? Instead, we're talking about how can I create faster buy-in and trust between execs and engineering teams so that we can get a prototype into the hands of our team or into their hands of users so we can get that rapid iteration happening. Awesome. Thank you so much for letting me know in the chat. I see it right here, so I'm right here with you. We're also talking about vibe coding as a strategic impact for accelerating decision-making on tech investments. Who here is a budget holder in headcount planning mode for 2026? Anybody? Now is the time. So if you are focused on leading your decision-making process on your exec team, you can vibe code it out to help get buy-in on those key tech investments. Obviously, enhanced credibility when discussing technical initiatives. This is great for our non-tech execs in the room, as well as competitive positioning for the next wave of AI innovation. We're seeing a lot of professional services companies right now productizing the way they serve their clients. And guess what? They're vibe coding a proof of concept to literally hand to their professional services clients as a way to future-proof their business model. And that's just one use case that, I mean, I've already seen 3 times this week. So there's a lot happening here. We want you to know this is leading edge stuff, even though there are a ton of blogs online about it, right? Bring it together into the strategic impact and you will start to see your ROI grow. Jimmy, anything you want to add on this before we pivot to the demo? Sweet. Kim, is there anything in the chat so far that we want to flag or anything?
Nope,
Sorry,
we're all good. Thanks, Emma.
Awesome. All right. Give it up for a live demo. Who here loves a live demo? Anybody? I saw somebody in the chat, Myra. Thank you. Guadalupe, thank you. Yes, awesome. Okay, so we're going to be getting hands-on here. Jimmy's going to get to share his screen. We're going to be walking you through a Slack channel analysis tool. Can you put Slack into the chat if you are on Slack and your team? We work closely with the team at Slack, and so it's really important that we know who here in the room is a customer. Awesome. What we're building here is how to build faster buy-in and trust between execs and engineering. Oh, there you go. It's already there. Sorry, that might have been a miss on the slide. That's my bad. We're going to show you the Slack channel analysis tool about how you can surface insights from Slack channels to help save you time, which is the #1 reason why I do what I do, is because I want to save you all time so you can have time with your families and with yourselves. So Jimmy's going to do a live demo to get you to see what vibe coding looks like. The best part of this is my invitation is just sit back and relax and watch. And then we'll have time for Q&A once we come back from the live demo, once we go through our top use cases and resources and best practices to get started.
Oh, that sounds hilarious. Just sit back and watch the vibes.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I picked a tool called Replit, replit.com, to kind of demonstrate here. I think all of these tools are kind of moving towards the same convergence as far as functionality goes. I picked Replit because it's kind of like V0. It allows you to also deploy what you build, whereas OpenAI and Claude right now, they'll give you demos of it, but like that pipeline of actually deploying what you're building or running it is missing on a lot of the older LLM tools. So this is not an endorsement of Replit, but it is a good place to test out something like this. So I'll start by saying I don't like Slack very much. I'm sure if I didn't have to use it for work, it would be okay. But what I run into as like a leader and manager in the company is what I call the Christmas tree effect, where my Slack starts to get a lot of ornaments hanging off of every single conversation on the side. And there's stuff that I want to be aware of, but I literally can't go click on everything and read through it. I think their mobile and iPad version of Slack has like a nice little catch-up feature that lets you do like a Tinder swipe left or right on conversations and reply to them. I find that to be pretty helpful, but it still doesn't really let me prioritize. Like I don't know if the last conversation in the stack is the hottest fire of the day that I need to work on. So that's a problem I've been trying to solve. My rant is that Slack product managers optimized for engagement over productivity, but if you ever catch me in a bar, we can have a drink over that and argue it. So what I've done, and I'm going to share my screen here. I have a couple of different versions of this that I've built over time. So I'm sharing Replit here with you. I want to build a command line tool that I can use to give me a daily summary that I can run, that I could automate and run to look at a Slack channel and execute, like pull in all the information on it and then give me some kind of summary of it. Usually it's something like, hey, is anything on fire here? Or what's the sentiment analysis of this team? And so this is a prompt that I've used before. So I just said, hey, give me a script. I don't think I even told it what language to use. And here's like the inputs I want to put into it. Mostly I want to connect to my Slack. I want to specify the channel. I want to give it like a date and time and also a prompt. And then I want the script to read everything in Slack up to that certain time, including threads, and then execute the prompt with an LLM against it. And I didn't ask it which LLM to use. So just pure vibes here. So we're going to go ahead. I'll go ahead and hit the start building button and we'll start burning credits on Replit.
And
we'll
y'all
see
feel
what
free
it
to
does.
hop into chat with any questions and we'll monitor it, even if we don't get to it immediately.
And I have the output of this as a GitHub repo that everybody here can have afterwards as well. So you can kind of see the process as well. One thing I think is really interesting for us, and I don't know if we covered this or covering it later, but obviously I'm going to have to ask this script to connect to some of my work systems like Slack and probably OpenAI, and that has security concerns as well. So it's something to kind of think about. But I really like how Replit handles this. So Replit gave me a little plan here. I'm going to go ahead and read the plan. It wants to accept some inputs. Broke everything down into kind of the steps I'd already said. Include threaded replies, process, context, or return AI. Yeah, this looks good. Let's go ahead and, well, actually, let's ask it a question. Let's get into the vibes. What LM do you recommend? And how will you keep my Slack token secure?
And for those who don't know, LLM is large language model.
Thanks, Emma. All right, so now we're doing a little more thinking here. And now it's telling me that, hey, like my Slack token, it's going to be embedded in what's called an environment variable. There's not going to be logging. It's all going to be processed within my Replit environment. So if my IT guys had any concern about that, I would just copy and paste that and say, hey, is this, in Slack to them, of course, and say, hey, like any concerns about me doing this? And they would come back and give you their concerns. And if they did, we could say something like, we could keep chatting and say, like here's the concerns from my IT team. So I'm trying to think of a concern here. Great. My IT team wants to know if I can set a expiration date on the Slack token for security purposes. For security, please advise. I'm very interested. I've never actually done this, so curious what it's going to come back as. So the kind of key here is like, if you have a question, don't go Google it, just ask the AI that you're working with directly, is the takeaway. While it's thinking about this, I don't know if you can see this computer I have behind me. This was actually, it's a Mac SE30, and it's the first computer I learned how to program on, which is pretty fun. But I've been using LLMs and Claude Code to go back and like learn how to use like redoing like a whole bunch of old programming languages like Lisp and Pascal that I wrote when I was younger and really enjoyed. And it's pretty fun being able to do that again. All right. Yeah, so it gave me some answers here. I cannot expire them. So it gave me some advice on how I can go ahead and do that myself. So sounds good. Let's go ahead and approve the plan and start working here. Here's where Replit gets kind of fun, is it will be giving me a preview on the right side. So I think somebody said they wanted to build a prototype for a new business. This is like where your website would show up on the right side of the panel here while you were working on it. While this is running, and we'll come back and look at it, I want to switch over to another tab here and show you what it looks like when this actually runs. So this is where I've already built the system. And here's a terminal that it gave me. So you can imagine like this is what it looks like on my computer when I'm running this. I'm going to go ahead and paste the command in. So it gave me the command line here that I can run Slack analyzer.js. And it's got the Slack bot token. It's got the channel I want to use. I want to analyze the developer talk channel on our Codingscape Slack. And I hope that nothing bad has been posted in the last 30 minutes. And the prompt is analyze the team's sentiment, morale, and overall communication patterns. Focus on collaboration levels, technical discussions, problem-solving approaches, and any signs of stress or positive energy within the team. I actually had the LLM write that prompt as well, after telling it like what I wanted to see. So I hit return here. We'll feel like hackers as we like see the command line working. So it grabbed 291 people. It got 2 messages in that channel, and now it's running it. And now I've got a text-based response with some PII with names in it. So we can see, I'll just scroll past names. The laughing emoji suggests a brief instance of positive energy. And then we've got collaboration. There's no explicit evidence of collaboration or teamwork in the snippet. More laughing emojis. So there's something going on. So I can use this and like automate it and get it sent to me by email, or I could set it up to like post into my own Slack bot as well. Which I do have that set up to basically automate every end of every day for channels where I have oversight and need to pay attention. I'm able to get a quick analysis of the channel in there. Yes, Kim.
So I'm curious about some of the sentiment morale, and it looks like here you're just trying to test for like overall team emotion, and laughing can be confused with sarcasm as well. So are you going back in and validating, or are you taking some of this at face value, or just how are you utilizing this for decision making on yourself?
For decision making, the prompt that I use, so if you saw up here, like you can change the prompt as well, and I include in the ones that I have automated more information about red and yellow flags. So I've given it some criteria to basically say, hey, like if we're talking about missing deadlines, hopefully that wouldn't just show up in Slack, it would show up somewhere else. But if there's stressful conversations or somebody gets pinged for something more than once, like I've set up a prompt that does more of that kind of red, yellow, and red analysis for myself as well.
That makes more sense. So you're defining what signs of stress are, what positive energy can be. Okay, so that makes a lot more sense. I was just concerned that we're letting something else make those decisions.
Yeah, it's a constant iteration of like the prompts. I think the kind of cool thing about vibe coding and prompts in general is the code is not as interesting as the prompts are to write. And so I don't know, does anybody feel free to put it in chat or give a thumbs up, but does anybody keep a spell book of prompts that they use day to day so that you can copy and paste from? I gotta check chat now to see if anybody's saying yes.
You've got one in chat.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's a powerful tool is to keep a notebook, like a Evernote or wherever you keep your notes. So keep a list of prompts that you use to copy and paste into these things instead of just trusting the OpenAI or Anthropic to keep it for you. And that way, like when either there's an update to one of the LLMs or you find that your prompt isn't giving you the information you need, you can go back and tune it as well and start and change it everywhere you use it. So I think prompts should be effectively treated like code in the sense that you want to, when you have one that works well for you, pull it out of whatever system it is and keep it archived somewhere that you can continue using it. Just Kim, because that's such a good question. Like trying to determine status of a project, it even that I can imagine maybe I should do this, but like different projects might, but depending on who's on them, might also have different criteria I want to look at as well. Like if I know that somebody's a little prickly, I might put in like some extra language there to say, hey, anytime this person responds, check it out or something like that.
Yeah,
Great.
I just see it more, like you said, prompt, personalization, specificity, discernment, all those nuances. It just goes into the prompt. That makes sense.
Great. Great question. I'm going to come back over to this other tab here. And this is really what I wanted to show you is, so we're writing some code, some Python code, and we need to give it some secrets that are basically API keys, tokens, etc. Replit is going to protect those for us, which is why I like to use it. I don't know how V0 does it, but basically I'm going to go over to my OpenAI account and get an API key and come back and paste it here. And then I'll do the same thing for my Slack as well. I'll get a token, either if I control my Slack, I'll get it, or I'll ask my admin to get it for me. And then those things are secure and saved. And if I don't know how to get it, I might say, where do I find the Slack bot token? in Slack. And it's going to tell me, like, give me like some documentation on how to find that. And once I enter those in and hit return, those values are going to be available to my app without me ever having to expose them to, any code or anything like that. In fact, over here, you saw how it did like the $ Slackbot token. That's a variable for that Slackbot token. And over
Awesome.
here, it came back and shared with me how to acquire that from Slack itself. So it kind of continues that trend of the vibe coding. Like you're talking to somebody, you're not like that. We're breaking the mold of Googling something, copying and pasting, trying it. And instead we're just keeping everything inside of like our AI agent here and working together to create an output. And that output solved a problem for me and continues to solve problems. I'll pause there.
Awesome. Yeah. So great, Jimmy. Thank you. Y'all, why don't you hop into the chat? Tell us what's been the most valuable for you so far? Seeing this live, you might start to compare it with how you're working and interacting with other LLMs, whether it's GPT, Claude, other tools. Hop into the chat and let us know what's been the most valuable for you so far. And then we'll keep it pushing. A reminder that all of this is in service to you, how you can speed up innovation, how you can create margin, how you can save time, how you can drive decision-making processes, right? Tell us what is top of mind for you. You named your biggest challenge. You're thinking about how to solve it. Any ideas on how this can help you, pop them into the chat so that we can track along with you. Awesome. Let's talk about now what we have found to be the most valuable executive use cases, right? We've built world-class software for Zappos, Twilio, and other enterprise and mid-market level orgs. We want to give you the tools for how to get started, right? So what I would love for you to do is to take a look at these options. We've got information synthesis and analysis, team and project intelligence, strategic decision support, personal productivity multipliers, revenue and growth analysis, and product management. What I would love to do is to hear your top 3. 1, 2, 3, you can rank sort them if that helps you. What are you focused on right now? Let's give yourself a moment to name it, put it in the chat. Awesome. You can use it for a ton of other use cases, but we wanted to give you the most valuable use cases so that you know where to start. This might be an existing problem that you have. These might be conversations that you know are coming up with your team, right? Awesome. We've got some product management people. We've got some market research. Feel free to take a screenshot of this slide. I think this is going to be really valuable to you and your teams as you ask the question, should we be vibe coding? Where should we be vibe coding? We're going to give you some guardrails, our best practices, and then we'll be able to open it up for Q&A. But thank you to those who are putting it into the chat. It's great to see it. Yeah, awesome. Kim, I don't think we're sharing the full deck, but feel free to take a screenshot and you will have access to the recording. So you can grab the screenshots from there as well. Awesome. Has anybody been here sitting, thinking and wondering how much does it cost to get started? Anybody? Myra's like, yeah, I want to know what my budget line item is just to get started. Now, because you all are executives, because I'm sure you're hands-on with AI almost every day, if not every day, we want to give you the investment reality. Our getting started costs are not that crazy. Really what we find, these tools, at least right now, they are very low cost. Our team does think we'll see the cost of those increasing as VC funding moves away to whatever is next. But at least for now, you can get started with just about $20 to $100 a month. There's a learning curve of about 2 to 4 hours to become functional. There's a simple setup time. Right now, Jimmy is our chief technology officer and has decades of work in coding. So he vibe coded it pretty quickly, right? But even myself, a non-technical resource, I think we're all technical product resources now, right? Even I can step into these tools and just with a couple of hours in terms of setup time and learning curve, get back time in just 1 to 2 weeks. All right. So super simple. There are some best practices we recommend. A vibe then verify mindset approach will serve you very well. Best practices to start off with your low stakes projects. We are internal tools gurus. That's where we live. That's where we love to play on the operations, the finance side, and the back end, as well as personal productivity. But you can start with low stake projects. As we said, please always review your AI outputs before implementation. Make sure that you maintain human oversight for those business critical functions. We are still at a human in the loop phase. Hopefully we remain there, at least for now, until we can scale responsible AI, right? And of course, make sure you test thoroughly before scaling. You would not believe how many mid-market and enterprise level teams come to us without a UAT plan. Even when you're vibe coding, even when you're testing, you want to make sure you have hands-on. This is not an invitation to stay in a vacuum. This is an invitation to rapid prototype an idea to help move your decision-making process and your innovation approach to working forward. Cool, cool, cool. Can we get into the chat? If you are at an enterprise level, can you just chat the word enterprise so that we know who is here? This is mostly who we serve, and we want to talk about guardrails. Jimmy, you can hop in here. Thanks, Eve. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I think I highlighted a little bit of it earlier, but before you copy and paste something that is a password or a API key or could be giving access to anything sensitive, either ask yourself if there's an easier way to test it, or just get permission from your IT and InfoSec teams. And definitely follow the rule of always having new passwords for every system you set up, especially like Repl, etc., or use like the single sign-on. And it is so the clear governance thing I think is really important. What we have a kind of a red flag at Codingscape when talking to teams about AI usage. If one of the first things they say is, well, we'll have to bring in our legal team on that, it means the project's never going to happen. So it's really, really important for all of us in our companies to make sure we've set some ground rules so that legal is comfortable with this before we approach it. If legal has to be brought in for either data protection purposes or otherwise. Another really fun thing though is actually figuring out how to measure impact of these tools internally as well. Like I don't know if anybody here is nerdy enough to track their own hours with like a timesheet or time log or Pomodoro timer. Yeah, I knew there was somebody here that was nerdy enough. Guadalupe. Tag your activities with a tag that indicates you are using AI, and you can actually get data to see if you are more productive during that time that previous tasks you may have been doing without AI. So we've been doing that for our developers and product managers and designers, and it's pretty interesting to see the results. We don't have anything conclusive yet where we can say, hey, we're 1000% faster. I don't think that'll be true, but there's definitely some activities that are faster and others that can take longer as you wait for AI to produce results for you, or you have to evaluate them as well. So, or actually, sorry, this is a little bent, but there's definitely cases where AI deletes code that was working before, and then you have to figure out how to prompt it back or get it back as well. So there's all kinds of places where we're seeing like positive and negative impact of AI, and measuring it and having a plan for measuring with your teams is a great part of that governance concept.
Awesome. Keep it rolling, Jimmy. Thanks.
I love your images here. I didn't see those beforehand. Yeah, great. I think this is all pretty obvious here. There was a pretty big thing in the news about vibe coded product that leaked a whole bunch of sensitive information. Nightmare mode right there. Absolutely. So, I think there's a big difference between building something to use locally or to communicate with your team and thinking that you can deploy an actual vibe coded product. So maybe avoid that hubris for the moment, and flag it when you hear it like in other team members. But I think keeping vibe coding to your own personal productivity as the set of executives and leaders that we are is a great place to be. As you gain confidence and your team gains confidence, you can start to expand it out to more areas with more impact and reach.
Perfect. Yeah, because we do want to address some of those concerns, and you've already kind of started to hear them surface, right? What Jimmy is talking about is staying focused. We love the personal productivity. We also love internal tools, prototypes that come up, right? These are some of the other questions that we hear, and then we're going to open it up to you all for hearing your questions. We have a couple in the chat, so we want to make sure to get to those. What if my team resists this approach, right? Is anybody there right now? You're really trying to move forward innovation and the team is lagging behind. Anybody raise a hand or a digital hand? We'll know if you're in that boat. Really, this is the goal of vibe coding, is for you to lead by example, really showing your teams that you are a tech forward. You can call yourselves a product leader, even if you are not in a specifically product focused role. It's one of our core beliefs here is everybody gets to think about and embody that product mindset, because it's going to serve everybody in this competitive advantage space. How does this fit in with our existing development process, right? We're not talking about replacing traditional development. This is about complementing. I'm sure you've heard in all of the AI content, it's augmentation, it's not replacement, right? You can talk about the complement goal here. And when we talk about best resources to try, you saw hands-on with Replit. You can get started with that for free. We also have Cursor, right? GPT-5 came out with a new agent model, so a lot of people are playing with that as well. Obviously, you have Claude as a resource as well, and feel free to share in the chat any other crowdsourcing resources for you to try for vibe coding or any other use cases that you have found to be valuable. And before we open it up for questions, we just want you to know that vibe coding, like it is here. And so hopefully by seeing this demo, starting to see how maybe you already have enough prompt engineering experience to get started with vibe coding and know that you can lean on engineering resources to help you troubleshoot when things get stuck. All of this is in service for you getting direct access to that solution validation. Right? We're here to help you become a credible voice in technical discussions. We want to make sure you have this clear competitive advantage in this AI native present. And so that your personal productivity can skyrocket, so that it creates strategic margin. All right. We do want to open it up for questions, hear what is on your mind. We also want to invite you, if it feels of value for you, to start building internal tools by scanning this QR code and booking a call with us. But we're so honored that you got to spend some time with us today. We appreciate your presence. We appreciate your participation. And we will go ahead and open it up for Q&A. So Kim, you can feel free to call out questions that came through the chat.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to back up a fair amount, I think, and forgive me if I get the pronunciation wrong. Is it Z, Lou? Z had some questions. I'm trying to find it.
And while
we
you're
had a lot
looking
of
for that,
we had a lot of chat. Okay. Z was wondering, how about native iOS or Android app development? Which tool, Jimmy, would you recommend? So is Replit still good for mobile development and prototyping?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I haven't tried Replit there, but I have used both OpenAI and Cursor for that. And Cursor is definitely a good option, although Claude Code seems to be taking over a lot of developers' machines for doing app development.
Thanks, Jimmy. And another question also from Z. What about the ease of migration from what you produce in Replit or V0 or whatever tool you're using to then take that and migrate it to a cloud provider, right? So whether you're want to refactor some or just migrate it, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Actually, can I share my screen for a hot second? Make sure I have this pulled up here. So this example that I did for y'all when I was like working on in a version of it that I could share publicly. I had I had Replit commit it to rep to Git for me, so I didn't even do this myself. I asked it to write this documentation, and I created a GitHub repo and basically gave Replit access to it, and it committed all the code and the changes, and then I asked it to write up some documentation, and then I gave it feedback on the documentation. So to answer your question, yes, as long as you can get the code out of the V0 or Replit and into GitHub or GitLab or something, then it is completely portable and pretty cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jimmy. It looks like that was all the questions. Jimmy did respond to a couple in chat. Does anyone have anything else they want to ask Emma or Jimmy while we have them here? Emma, can you share your screen again with the QR code for the survey?
Yes, and I would love to hear in the chat what other use cases you all are thinking about. You had some at the top of the call, but I'm curious if any of that got updated. Thanks, Guadalupe. Thanks, Iwa.
Thanks for joining today, everyone. We'd really love your feedback and really appreciate you guys showing up and engaging as well as you did. And feedback's really important to the Sidebar community to make sure, again, right, we're taking this feedback and they're incorporating it into future events and webinars. It'll also be extremely helpful to Emma and Jimmy to get feedback on how valuable you thought this was today.
Yeah, would love to open the floor. What's like one key takeaway or one core thing that's resonating with you, Kim and or Myra? Just it's lovely to see your face, but also feel free to hop off mute. Hey, Sarah.
Oh,
I think the thing that I still struggle with vibe coding is being specific about what I want the output to be. And allowing, like, having the conversation to explore the possibilities. Like, if I am limited by my own imagination, then how can I interact with the tool in such a way that it helps me explore possibilities by asking the right questions? For a little background, my expertise is in user experience, and I've been working on AI tech for over a decade. And I say to a lot of my consulting clients that we're in this like vibe coding world right now because we haven't optimized the front end UX of all these tools for people. Like, we're all in this exploration space. I would just love your thoughts on any of that, of like tips and tricks, how you've developed your expertise to explore the possibilities if you don't know what you want the end result to be.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, that's a great question, and good. And I'd love to hear what you've been working on in the last 10 years too, because that's an awesome amount of time to be in this space. But I think of it as like blind spots. So whatever techniques you kind of use to identify your blind spots when you're approaching a problem are helpful here as well. And it can be asking others for advice, or even asking the LLM like, what's possible here? Hey, here's a problem I have. Tell me how others have solved the solution, or what are some common approaches to this problem. And then getting more specific as you go along as like what kind of outputs you want. Like, is the output a script like I had, or is it a UI that somebody can interact with? that's like starting kind of from the top and narrowing it down as you get to the bottom is completely, I think, a good way to go. But blind spot exploration for me is like the thing that I've really I lean on a lot of people like Kim and Emma to like say, hey, like, what am I missing here? Or well, Kim knows this. Am I overthinking this? Because yes, I'm always overthinking it. And so that really helps me a lot.
Yeah, and two things come up for me, Sarah. At first, what Jimmy said, I just phone a friend. If I don't know what the output is, because I'm a biz dev person, I'm like, I don't know who my audience is. I don't know what their needs are. I haven't answered what's in it for them, right? So I think this is our opportunity from a responsible AI perspective, is phone a friend and work with it together. But also what I find helpful is, what role am I asking the LLM to assume?
Mm-hmm.
Strategic thought partner, up, down, give it the role that you need, because you could ask it either way.
Yeah, I'd love to pile on a little bit more on that and say that if you don't have multiple like LLMs open at once, then that's another good way to do it too. Like competing Claude against OpenAI is a great way to also kind of expose those blind spots, like asking, hey, what, pasting Claude's answer into OpenAI and asking it what it thinks of it, or to evaluate it is something I see a lot of people doing as well.
I love that.
What's resonating, Sarah?
Yeah, I appreciate start broad and narrow down as you go. I appreciate the phone a friend. I was in oh man, what's the company? I was in a dialogue last week, and the CEO mentioned that he has Claude, Perplexity, and GPT open at all times, and he has a separate screen going, and those three are there. And at any point in time during his day where he's doing his work, he will go and consult all three and then go back to doing his work. Like, he has created an entirely new workflow for himself when he is in his deep think mode. And I find that to be context switching myself, but it's amazing. Like, I like, this is reshaping our brains. This is kind of reshaping how we think and process information, and allowing ourselves to spend a little bit more time in contemplation before taking action, in my opinion. And yeah, this is why the user experience expert in me is just so intrigued on how this is going to shape how we do our work.
So good. Thank you, Sarah. Awesome. Y'all, I know we're at time. We're 1 minute over. So thank you so much. Please feel free to connect with me and Jimmy on LinkedIn. We're happy to answer any other questions, as well as my calendar link got dropped in the chat, as well as the survey link for Sidebar, which I believe will also get sent out, right? Yeah?
No,
Sweet.
I don't think you get sent out. It's you do it now.
Do it
Ideally, that's why
now.
yeah, or you click through and do it shortly
you
thereafter. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially for UX people. We know the value of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you again
Well,
so
thanks,
much.
Really
Emma and
interesting.
Jimmy. Bye all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.